Ladies and gentlemen, the PlayStation Home will be closing its doors in March of next year. This has been officially confirmed by Sony, and the quote reads as follows. Due to a shifting landscape, PlayStation Home will cease publishing new content on November the 12th, but gamers in Europe, the US and Canada will be able to download content until December the 3rd. As a token of our tremendous gratitude to the community, we will be releasing a series of free content prior to the platform's closure on March the 31st, 2015. But they do warn that any money that you have spent on content will not be refunded. They say, and I quote, due to the progressive and innovative nature of the gaming industry, PlayStation is unable to refund on legacy platforms or services experience. Sony themselves have stated that there were, and I quote, tens of millions of users from around the world since the service had opened, and that was pretty much all she wrote, really. So the PlayStation Home beta began in 2008 for the PlayStation 3, of course. And I'm sure many of us were less than suspicious by its absence when it came to the PlayStation 4. In fact, a content creator recently discussed, basically where I'm going with this is that PlayStation Home did not launch with the PS4, Sony were obviously moving away from it, content creators and those who were involved in it were very stum, they weren't saying anything about it. People asked on the official forums, you can Google this yourselves, hey, what's going on with PlayStation Home? And they were pretty, well, quiet over the whole situation, to be honest. And so, let's just be totally and utterly blunt here. It's not really a surprise when, well, back in August, they also said that they were going to be going bye-bye to the Japanese version of PlayStation Home. So Europe version and America and Canada and so on, it was pretty much the writing was on the wall. So I've got some mixed feelings about this that I'm going to quickly go over. Firstly, I never used the service. I used it very briefly when I first got my PS3, and my initial reactions were, oh, okay. Oh, anyway, moving on to Killzone. And that was pretty much, actually, no, it was Resistance Fall of Man I was playing, and that was pretty much my sum of my experiences of the PlayStation Home. Then again, I am someone, to be honest, if you were to look at my PlayStation 4 account, my PSN, or my Xbox One, most of you guys know it anyway by this point, by the amount of people that added me on the Xbox One. I'm surprised few of you haven't added me on the PS4, but whatever. You're welcome to, by the way. I can't remember what it is offhand, my handles, because I've got so many different bloody logins for everything, but there you go. But if you see me, you're more than welcome to add me. When I was using it, I was like, yeah, I'm not really feeling this. Like, I never thought to myself, this is something I like. But my avatars on those and my profiles, I just never bothered to fill them out. Maybe I'm just like an unsociable bastard, possible, but I'm going on there and I typically just can't be bothered. I don't bother to customize my profiles a lot of the time, and even my Facebook profile, like my real one, is pretty minimalistic if I'm totally blunt. So with the PlayStation Home, it just never appealed to me, and I felt that way for, well, quite a few of my friends felt the same way. I've asked them, hey, did you ever bother with the PlayStation Home thing? Most of them just gave me a blank look and said, well, I didn't even bother to use it, if I'm honest. So I'm not really surprised Sony are doing away with this. I do have mixed feelings, however, when it comes to services and you as a gamer spending money and then that service being shut down and you no longer having the cash for it. And this is something that does piss me off, and it's part of a much larger rant, quite frankly. But I do understand that they can't infinitely support a service if it's no longer making money or doesn't fit in with their vision. But I think it would have been nicer for it just to have died naturally. So in other words, shut down the services don't add anything else, don't make anything else there, don't make it so there's extra stuff in the store, make everything that is in the store just leave it as is, make it clear that it's not going to be transferred to the PlayStation 4, make it clear that, hey, you know what, when this console dies, it dies, and then just let the PlayStation 3 fade out naturally. Let's face it, it's fairly late in its life anyway, so in a couple of years' time, what percentage of your customers are really going to be still using the bloody system? So I don't really like the idea that, you know what, you might still be in the middle of playing the PS3. And I don't blame you if you are, because the PS4 and Xbox One, you know, I think they're good consoles, but I don't think they're exactly, I must buy it now, oh my goodness. There's still, especially if you're a PlayStation 4 waiting, I mean, there's a reason that you're seeing like the wait station memes, and even the Xbox One. No one can really criticize developers when they say, well, we've got to hold out to get better performance and better games, but, you know, Battlefield Hardline was delayed, you've got Dragon Age that's delayed, you've got all these titles, each one seems to be delayed, and some of them, of course, are going to be much better experiences on the next generation, but if they're not being released until 2015, you've got that debate. And Destiny, it's on the older consoles anyway, and to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Destiny, even though the definitive experience would definitely be next gen. So yeah, there are quite a few people who are holdouts on the PlayStation 3. So I don't blame them in that respect. So I'm not trying to make a big deal out of it. Like, it doesn't affect me at all. But if I was someone who did enjoy the PlayStation Home and I had spent money on the store, I would be a little pissed. And this is part of a caveat that I often see with these situations. This is why I don't like cloud gaming as a whole and cloud and gaming as a service, because ultimately, if they decide to shut something down, you're buggered, you're boned, you're screwed. You can't do a damn thing about it. And most of these, in terms of TNCs, it's wrote in there that, hey, you know what? If we decide to shut this down, you're done. And that's one of the reasons that everyone just went militant on Microsoft when they were talking about, like, the online checks for the Xbox One. You remember, like, the 24-hour check-in? And that's one of the reasons that I was really happy that Microsoft caved into the peer pressure. So I'm not saying that Sony are doing like something awful and oh my god, this is really against the consumers, but I do think that it's not the best way they could have gone about this. I personally would have preferred them just to have let the PlayStation home thing just die naturally with the PS3, support it for a couple of more years, don't put anything extra on the store, maybe just put a couple of free items here and there, reduce, you know, slowly reduce the support, just make it obvious that it's going to be EOL'd, end of line, and that would have been it. And I personally would have thought that would have been a better way to have treated customers. However, I do understand that running a service at the end of the day is costing them money. So it's just one of those things. But anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon. Take care, and bye for now.